It's Mailbag Monday here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Let's answer your questions. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Monday, November 14th, 2022. This is Titan Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. The link as well as our social accounts is in the description below. Today is Mailbag Monday, and we'll be answering questions from our followers on Twitter this week. But first, before we get into those, Colby, let's talk about the giveaway that we're currently running. We are about a little under a month away from this thing ending, and it's a little bit of a tiered giveaway. So break that all down for some of the folks that might be new to our show.
Yeah, so just real fast, every time we reach a milestone on YouTube or Twitter, or Twitter, we're gonna give away some autographed baseball cards. Somebody's already going to win this autographed Taylor Dollard card, Texas League Pitcher of the Year. Some at 4,500 YouTube subs, and we are about 100 or so below that right now. Somebody's going to win this numbered autographed Taylor Trammell card. We get to 3,000 Twitter followers. Essentially, this one's for Twitter. We're going to go ahead and give away this really cool autographed numbered Jared Kelenic card. It's a really beautiful card. So just head over to Twitter, and we're about 500 off on that. So
At
we got some work to do.
_Mariners.
Yes, we got some work to do there. And then kind of the big one, I think, at least I would say, we get to 5,000 subs on YouTube, and we're about 600 away. So we have a month or so, about 3 weeks to get, make up some ground here. But we are going to give away this Cal Raleigh autographed rookie card. It's also a very cool card. And, if you guys go crazy and we add about 1,000 more subs from where we are right now, I'll actually go ahead and give away one of my favorite cards, which is this autographed numbered Mike Cameron card. Everybody loves Cammy, including us. And so if you guys can get us to one more sub than whatever Locked On Astros has right now, we'll go ahead and we'll give away that card to somebody. So there's, 4 or 5 cards up for grabs here. Looks like definitely we'll give away 2 of them. But you guys got some work to do if you want one of you guys to walk away with the really cool Cal Raleigh autograph card or the Jared Kelenic autograph card. And you're going to have to, tell a lot of people to sub if you want that Mike Cameron card. We got some ground to make up there. But and hey, if you guys go really nuts, I've got an autographed and graded Logan Gilbert card that I will give away. It is a 9.5 Beckett graded card. It is a 10 autograph, perfect 10 autograph. It's a really cool card, which is why the goal for that is so high, because I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, it's 10,000 YouTube subscribers for that, which I'm just going to go out on a limb and say we're probably not going to reach that within the next 3 weeks. But
oh no, darn.
Yeah, darn, shoot.
I really wanted
December
to give
8th,
away this awesome Logan Gilbert autograph card.
the deadline to enter is December 8th. That's the day after the winter meetings are completed. And all you have to do to enter is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's how we're going to be picking all of our winners for these cards, is through our subscriber list on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, and that's all you need to do to enter in the giveaway. All right, so let's get into these questions. Starting with Sage, who asks, have you heard about the Ronald Acuña rumors to Seattle from Atlanta? Thoughts on a trade for Acuña? How realistic is that trade? So, Colby, this all started with an account on Twitter called Ballcap Sports, not to be not to be confused with another Twitter account that goes by a similar name that is famous for making fake tweets, fake news reports, all that. But this one apparently is a little bit trusted by folks in the Braves community. Braves fans seem to trust this account at least a little bit. I believe it had some information on Matt Olson last year before they swung that deal. And this account tweeted that Alex Anthopoulos, the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, has been talking to other teams about Ronald Acuña Jr., and he's received pushback from others inside the organization. But apparently he talked to the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and the Mariners at the GM meetings about Ronald Acuña Jr. So do we think this is realistic at all, Colby?
No.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that the Braves trade Acuña. I mean, that's certainly possible. But to the Mariners, no. It's not going to happen. There's a 0% chance it's going to happen. We will not address it any further. Don't go down this rabbit hole, guys. It's a waste of time. And in the 1 in 1 million chance that the trade actually does happen, just allow yourself to be surprised by that, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Also,
we're talking about
build the statue for Jerry DiPoto and Justin Hollander.
I mean, if you can do it without giving away Cal Raleigh and Logan Gilbert, then go ahead. But that's literally what's going to cost. I think the guy also said that Bo Bichette for Ronald Acuña is on the table, is what the Braves are looking for. The Mariners don't have a Bo Bichette to offer. It sounds like the way this guy worded it, they want shortstop in case they lose Dansby. But obviously for Acuña, you're going to want a world beater shortstop. The Orioles don't have that, and the Mariners certainly don't have that. So it's no. I'm not saying the guy made it up, but I'm saying the guy made it up.
I maybe they're having discussions there, but the pushback from others in the organization probably means that that's a moot point, right? He's already been told, no, you're not trading Ronald Acuña Jr. And even if they did, again, like you said, it's probably going to be for Bo Bichette plus. It's not going to be whatever the Mariners can offer them, because
it's going to be Bo Bichette and Danny Jansen and a pretty good prospect.
The Mariners can't do that. Yeah, the Mariners can't match that because, they can, but if they did, it would derail a lot of other things, and it would create a lot of other issues that they would need to eventually address.
And by the way, that's the same reason why the Blue Jays would be stupid for trading Bichette plus for Acuña, because now they have to go get a shortstop. It just no.
All right, so let's move on over here to Offshore, who says, Colby, hit it. Who are you expecting to show the most growth next season? I assume of the players that are on the 26-man roster, or were on the 26-man roster by the end of the season, or 40-man roster, whatever.
I was going to say hopefully you, but I guess if we're limiting it to players, I guess most growth next year. It's a tough one. It feels unfair to say Julio because he was so good this year, but there are things Julio can get better at. Yeah. Cal Raleigh, I think, is a guy we're going to see fewer strikeouts from next year. Still a good amount, but fewer. I wonder if, I don't know if growth is the right word for Robbie Ray, or if it's just kind of getting back to norms. So yeah, it's kind of tough because growth, the Mariners have a pretty, it's a good team, right? And a lot of good players, and you don't want to say that one guy can get significantly better when they've all had pretty good years. But I think the biggest jump in terms of just from last year to this year to next year, I think there's another gear in Cal Raleigh. I think he can hit for some average. I think he can limit the strikeouts. I think he's going to get on base at about a league average clip. I would not be shocked at all if Cal went 240, 310, 320 with 480, 500 slugging, 30 home runs. I think that's totally possible for Cal Raleigh, and we started to see that in the playoffs. How much better his game plan appeared to be. even just from August to September. So I still think there's plenty of room for growth there. I think Cal Raleigh's making an all-star team next year, and I think
Love it.
I think there's a chance, like a 1% chance, he gets an MVP vote or two at the end of the year. So I'm going to go Cal Raleigh.
Great call. I have a couple of mine. One kind of falls similarly in line with your Robbie Ray prediction, Jesse Winker. That's not necessarily growth, but that's kind of reverting back to what he was previous to this year. So if it is true what the Mariners front office said in their end of season press conference, that injuries really did impact his season this past year, then I think we'll see a much better Jesse Winker if he stays in Seattle. The other pick here for me is Logan Gilbert. I think we're going to see kind of a reinvented Logan Gilbert this upcoming season with a more dependable secondary and tertiary offering. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Hopefully. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be amazing. All right, so we got more questions to come, but just a moment. Let's talk about Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Let's talk about Julio some. Daisy and the Dingo wants to know, do you guys see Julio in the leadoff spot going forward or sliding down to the 2 spot? Colby, I think this really depends on who the Mariners add this offseason. If they add someone like Brandon Nimmo, who's an elite on-base guy, then yeah, you probably have that conversation about putting Nimmo in the leadoff spot to help set the table for Julio. But for now, I'm going Julio 1.
This is a question that's totally dependent on who they bring in. Also could vary between lefty righty on the mound. They could bring in Nimmo and still decide that they want Julio to hit leadoff against lefties, that type of thing. So yeah, I think it's 100% dependent on, who they bring in. I do think they really like Julio in the leadoff spot. I think, and this is just guessing, I think they would really love to have Julio hit second, but they're only going to do that if there is that like premier setup leadoff guy that they can add. I don't think that they view the difference between hitting first and second as significant, but it would be better, just with common logic, if you had a guy like Nimmo who gets on base like 40% of the time, lead up with a guy on base more often. So I would say right now Julio is definitely the favorite, and if they don't add like a legitimately great hitter, I think he'll probably hit leadoff for most of next year.
So sticking with Julio, Kevin wants to know, wondering what you think about Julio's rookie season versus Griffey's rookie season, impact on and off the field / on the organization as a whole. Love the show. Keep doing your thing. Well, the first thing we'll say, Kevin, is that neither of us were alive in 1989. So we can't perfectly answer this question. We can't really pull back, from our memories back then because we weren't around. But what I'll tell you is this, Griffey, numbers wise, in 89 wasn't great, right? 264, 329, 420, 106 WRC plus 2.5 F4. I mean, that's really good. Don't get me wrong. Just not what Julio did this year.
Yeah, 19 years old.
19 years old, right? Different era.
20?
He was 19 years old. Yeah, he's 19 years old. It's a different era. There's a lot of things that go into play here. Julio, meanwhile, this year, 284, 345, 509, 146 WRC plus, 5.3 F4. He was a 25-25 guy. He won a Silver Slugger. He's probably going to be the rookie of the year. Another thing, Griffey did not win rookie of the year in 89 either. And I know
remembering correctly, I think he got hurt. He missed a good chunk of his rookie year too. But was 89 or 88 the year McGuire hit like 49 bombs as a rookie. So I think that was 88.
Mhm.
I think though, like when you're talking about like statistically, yes, Julio was better. Like I don't think there's any denying that, right?
Yeah.
Did you find anything that would lead you to believe that Julio had a worse year than Griffey, worse rookie year than Griffey?
Not really. Maybe defensively, maybe
Yeah,
slightly defensively, but and I know this isn't what the question was asking, like who was better, but like
right.
I think it's more about making the comparisons. And yeah, Griffey really, like, his arrival began the first great era of Mariners baseball, the first truly great era of
Hmm.
Mariners baseball, and Julio is hopefully doing that. We have the
Right,
hindsight with Griffey, whereas we don't with Julio just yet. So it's still it's
right.
a little hard to answer that
But
question in whole.
right, because we have the firsthand experience with Julio, but not with Griffey. So
Yeah, that's true
we
too.
don't have the full piece of the puzzle. I'll say this based on what I know about the Griffey like rookie year and how all that came to be. I think it's probably pretty similar just in terms of the Mariners are a team worth talking about now, like nationally, because they have this young phenom that is he's got the big smile and he plays with incredible swagger and he's got power and speed and all of that stuff. They're both young at the time. So I do think that there is a comparison there between like vibes, I guess. Just like this
Yeah,
idea that like, hey, the Mariners have something that's not only fun, but it's marketable and it's somebody that you can build a championship team around. This is the face of your franchise. So I think it's
yeah.
very similar in that model. Obviously, in '89 they didn't have Twitter or the internet, so they really didn't have like the hype machines like they do now. So it's a little tough to compare eras and all that stuff. But I do think it's probably going to be pretty similar to the idea where Griffey made being a Mariners fan like a cool thing to be. I think Julio's going to do the same thing for a new generation. So I think in that sense they're pretty similar. But again, that's just based off of secondhand resources in the for the '89 Mariners. I was not quite born yet, so I'm just going off of what I know, what I read, what I've heard about Griffey's rookie season.
Let's talk some off-season stuff here. Ian says you guys talked about Teoscar Hernandez, but what about a trade package for his teammate Lourdes Gurriel Jr.? Extra year of control, albeit arbitration eligible. So yeah, Gurriel is interesting, but he's a bad defender. He's a solid hitter. He just doesn't, like, at least this year he didn't hit for a ton of power. He has eclipsed 20 home runs twice in his career though. This past season, 291, 343, 400. He was worth just one F4. He's a really bad defender. And do I want to trade for another Jesse Winker essentially with less power? Less power
Yeah,
potential. I just I'm open to the idea because he is a good player, don't get me wrong. But he also, like, he doesn't really walk a lot. Like, he also doesn't really strike out that much. But, like, I don't know. There's nothing that gets me excited here looking at Gurriel's numbers and just knowing what I've seen from him a bit here living in Toronto and watching some Blue Jays games here and there. I'm just not like, yeah, you got to get that guy. You have to get Lourdes Gurriel Jr. If they got him, cool.
yeah,
Right? Like my reaction would be like, all right, depending on costs, obviously, but I'd be like, all right, sure. But I'm not like, oh yeah, they got Lourdes Gurriel Jr. That's a big difference maker. I'm kind of indifferent on it. What do you feel?
yeah. If he's like your fourth outfielder, like fine, whatever. But if he's like, if like the Mariners come out and they're like, oh, Lourdes, we think he's going to hit like third or fourth, he's going to play 140 times a year. Like he's like the impact bat, should all be furious at Cherry Dipoto because he's lying to you. He's a good hitter. He's not a great hitter. There's some similarities here to Mitch Haniger. Just kind of, bad defender, but probably just good enough that if he hits, people are like, oh, he's fine. It's no, he's not. But basically, he's a cheap Mitch Haniger is how I would view Lourdes Gurriel. So uh, if he is although I will say he's probably, you probably trust him to stay healthy a little bit more than you would Haniger. So, I mean, even that, like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
one
like
of those things.
he was hurt this past year, I think.
Yeah, It's
The
just
other thing
it's one
too
of
is
those.
like he doesn't have the power that Mitch does. Because at least with
No,
Mitch you have power. Now you're also swapping the power for like 6-7% more strikeouts. But
yeah.
I,
Like I said, just to me, Gurriel is like he's a good complementary piece, right? But he's not in the same vein of Teoscar, where like Teoscar, you want him to play 140 times a year and get 600 plate appearances. Gurriel to me is a guy who like ideally 350, 400 plate appearances, and he kind of
yeah,
just rotates through a couple different positions. So
yeah,
they should definitely consider it. He would definitely upgrade their bench and their fourth outfield spot, which is a very important spot. You need four to get through the year, so don't think that saying somebody's a fourth outfielder is a dig at them. It's a valuable
yeah.
position. So if
Now,
Gurriel is like the third best bat they bring in,
mhm.
okay.
Now you and I have talked about getting a first baseman that could play some outfield, some
Hmm.
corner outfield. We've talked about Will Myers. We've talked about Trey Mancini. Gurriel hasn't played a lot of first base, but he's played some, and he's played corner outfield. Like he's stood out there, more or less.
Yeah, pretty much.
So maybe that's another option on that
Maybe
front.
I would rather have Gurriel than Mancini, but I
Mhm.
would rather have Will Myers than Gurriel. So
Yeah, well, because you got to, and people are going to take that and be like, "What? You just want Will Myers over Lourdes Gurriel?" It's also
yes,
like Will Myers is
I
just going to
mean,
cost like a little bit of money. Like it's not going to be much. It's going to be like
I
$6-7 million.
also
Meanwhile,
no
you're going to have to trade.
qualifier.
Yeah,
Yes, I'd rather have Will Myers than Lourdes
just
Gurriel.
no qualifier, really.
No, I wouldn't. I get a plus first baseman. I actually get a guy who's okay in the outfield. He's not a train wreck out there. I get base running. I get power. I get a few more strikeouts. Okay. So what? It's my fourth outfielder. People are out there, clamoring for Cody Bellinger, but I'm the weirdo for being like, oh, well, Will Myers would be pretty interesting. Yeah, no. Okay. I'd rather Will Myers is a better player than Lourdes Gurriel. Better fit too. So that's my opinion.
All right.
But like I said, if either of those guys are oh, he's the second bat we're bringing in this offseason, you should be mad because that's a joke.
So Peter wants to know, the early reliever market has been really expensive. It has. My word, are you seeing some of these
Mhm.
deals that have been coming across here? Woof.
A
Yeah, it
lot of
wasn't.
dumb teams out
It
there. Yep.
wasn't just Edwin Diaz. It's Robert Suarez. Like the list is starting to grow and grow. And
Montero
Rafael Montero made
got
what 11
12
million.
mil a year. Yeah.
12 mil a year. Jeez, yeah. Like he was
I
really good
mean,
this year, but off of one
yeah.
really good year, man, that's a lot of money.
3 years, like 35 million bucks or whatever it was. Like,
Yeah.
nah.
So Peter asks, do you think Dipoto will pivot from his stated desire to augment the bullpen and ultimately sell, or more likely buy and sell from that area to improve the team overall? I think the latter. Yeah, I think he will buy and sell a little bit. I think if he can land something that maybe helps him offensively, he'll be open to Diego Castillo, Matt Festa, Penn Murphy, Paul Sewald even. I don't think he will end up entertaining offers on Andres Munoz or even Matt Brash maybe. Brash, if teams are willing to trade for him as a starter, and putting starter value on him. But Brash as a reliever, I don't think they'll be open to. Maybe Swanson, but that quartet of Castillo, Festa, Murphy, and Sewald, that might be the area that at least one of those guys ends up going in a deal. Because look, the reliever market is incredibly expensive. Not every team is going to want to spend that kind of money to help fix their bullpen. And while yes, Matt Festa and Penn Murphy, guys like that are kind of a dime a dozen when it comes to the bullpen, when it comes to relievers, they're cheap. They're not making any money. You just have to give up, prospect capital or a major league piece or whatever to get that. So if you find a team with some excess on their roster, maybe you line up.
Yeah. Those guys are cheap, but they also have a full season of track record that says they can pitch at the big league level.
Yep.
So while pretty much every organization has a Matt Festa in their AAA team, we don't know if those guys can pitch. We think they can, but we don't know. Who we know works? Matt Festa. Matt Festa went a whole year with like a 13K per nine.
Yeah.
Ken Murphy went an entire year with like a sub 3 ERA and like a 3.5 FIP. Like, we know that those guys can pitch. But what I don't think you're going to see is I don't think you're going to see Jerry even consider paying a reliever
Yeah.
multiple guaranteed years at 10+ million a year. It's not going to happen. What Jerry will do is he'll trade Paul Sewald, and then he'll just go find another Paul Sewald, and it'll be somebody we've never heard of. And he'll come up in May.
Maybe it's the guys that they just acquired. Maybe it's Gabe Spire. Maybe it's Easton McGee.
Yeah,
right?
It might be like
Luke
Weaver. It doesn't matter. Like, we know that Jerry and his staff are excellent at building bullpens on the fly. They really did it again this year, right? Steckenrider wasn't working out. Whatever. We'll just go to Penn Murphy, right? Like, Swanson takes a huge step forward. Munoz becomes one of the most, electric relievers in baseball. It's just, they're good at that. So they're not going to spend Rafael Montero level money because they think, I guarantee you, they think in their front office, they're saying, oh, well, we can just go get a Rafael Montero for $3 million a year. Like, we don't need to spend $12 million to get name brand Rafael Montero. We'll just go to Walmart and go to the great value section, and we'll get this guy for $2 million, and they'll put up similar numbers because they're good at it and they've done it repeatedly. So yeah, I think they will be open to trading from their bullpen, but they're not going to try and replace them with expensive relievers. They're just not going to do that. They don't need to.
Yeah, I think really in terms of what they buy on the reliever market, if they get someone that you recognize, it's going to be via trade. Like, it's not going to be on the free agent market. Again, like, paying that much money for relievers is ridiculous. It's like, it's bad baseball practice at the end of the day. Even, and I'm happy that Edwin Diaz got his bag and all that. That's awesome. Good for him. But $20 million for a reliever, considering how volatile relievers are, and it doesn't even matter how good they are. Edwin Diaz is one of the greatest relievers I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. That said, I still wouldn't pay $20 million a year for him because I just don't know if he's going to collapse all of a sudden, because that's what happens to even the best relievers in the world. They might just blow up, right? Kenley Jansen was one of the best relievers in baseball for years and years, and now he's bad. Like, it happens. The time, like,
bad, but
I mean,
he's
bad.
He's not
bad,
elite anymore.
Bad relative to where he was. Yes, and that's the thing, right? Like, you never know. You never know with relievers, and so I'm not comfortable with investing that kind of money in that market. Even $12 million for someone like Rafael Montero, who posted a 1.5 ERA or something like that and was insane in the postseason. Even then, I'm having some hesitancy there. Let's stick with the off-season stuff here, though. Nicholas wants to know about Chris Flexen. So John Morosi on 710 Seattle Sports the other day said that we should bookmark the Rockies as a potential landing spot for Flexen, because they do need pitching and they're being active and looking for pitching. And obviously the Rockies are weird and they don't do anything that you would think that they would do. But Nicholas asks, if Flexen did go to the Rockies, what would the trade look like, or what would you like to get from the Rockies? Again, because like the Rockies are weird. Who knows, right? Who knows what's actually available for Chris Flexen plus, right? Because it's not just going to be Flexen that heads to Colorado or wherever he ends up landing. We've heard time and time again from folks like Ryan Divish that it's likely going to be Flexen and a package of prospects or something to help land an offensive player. So, I mean, you look at the Rockies, there really aren't a ton of options that I'm like, yeah, the Mariners should go get that guy. Ryan McMahon is a fantastic defender and he hits a lot of home runs. Part of that is the Coors effect, obviously. He can play second, he can play third, hits from the left side. That's interesting. I'm sure the Mariners really like Ryan McMahon. I mean, on paper, you're not getting Ryan McMahon for Chris Flexen and, whatever. Plus, they just extended McMahon recently. I don't think that's going to happen, but also the Rockies are weird, so who knows? Brendan Rodgers is the other guy, right? Former top prospect, plays second base, has played shortstop in the past. His underlying numbers are a little bit better than you would think, and he also, some of like his overall numbers are kind of dragged down by a rough start to the year and a rough end to the year, but the middle months of the season were really good for Rodgers. But that's also 3 years of control for an up-the-middle player. I don't see that happening either. The other one is CJ Cron, but he's a 1-year guy. He's a first baseman only. Hits for a lot of power, I'm sure, and also I think Jerry Dipoto is familiar with him from their days in Anaheim. And I'm sure that Dipoto likes him, and I'm sure that they like CJ Cron, but he also doesn't make a ton of sense for the roster either, because he's just a first base DH type. So I don't really see a fit here with the Rockies as far as Chris Flexen is concerned, and
Right.
and Brendan Rodgers and Ryan McMahon really aren't the players that I'm like, yeah, you got to package like some prospects and Chris Flexen together and get that guy. I'm not really excited by anything that the Rockies have to offer.
Yeah, I also think that this was a bit of an overblown situation here. I think people are thirsty for rumors and things like that. So, but I think what the actual, like, when you listen to the whole interview, is like, hey, the Rockies are looking for pitching. Maybe they like Chris Flexen. I think maybe it is the Rockies like Chris Flexen, but like you said, there's really not a tremendous fit here between these two rosters. Mostly because the Rockies roster is an absolute mess. It's a dumpster fire with lots of overpaid players. So it's probably not going to be a good fit there. Maybe there's a 3-team deal where Flexen lands in Colorado, but yeah, I feel like this is just one of those things where it's like, hey, he said Chris Flexen, and then he said the Rockies. Like, we have to find a way to make that work, and no, you don't. You don't.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't read too much into it. If Flexen gets traded to the Rockies, my guess is that it'll mostly be as a salary dump, which, again, not ideal, but what are you going to get for Chris Flexen, really?
Josh Games wants to know, besides Julio, do you guys see a player currently on the roster being able to challenge for any of the Triple Crown categories in 2023? So batting average, home runs batted in.
No.
Short and simple answer is no. No. Not at all. Maybe Gino Suarez with the home runs, maybe, no. But I'm not feeling it.
No. What, you got to hit 50 to have a shot?
Yeah.
45, 50? Probably not.
Yeah.
No,
but even if Judge leaves, like with Trout, Ohtani, like, well, we don't know if Ohtani's going to stay in the AL. Seems like it, but
you're going to have to hit at least 40 to have a shot. And while Gino can hit 40, I don't think he's going to. So no, the answer is no.
All right.
Not right now. Talk to us again at the end of free agency,
but
probably not even then.
Lastly, Adam wants to know, is this a good time for the Mariners to change their uniforms with them being a good team and All-Star game coming this year? And what color scheme should they go with? So this is something that actually, real quick, I forgot to make our declaration at the beginning when we talked about Ronald Acuña Jr. This just popped in my mind. That's the only time we're talking about Ronald Acuña Jr., folks. We're not answering any more Ronald Acuña Jr. like questions unless that situation somehow, some way gets real.
If we get Morosi or Passan or basically not John Heyman or Braves rumors, believe me, on Twitter. Like if we get a real reporter saying that that's a possibility, then we'll start talking about it again.
Yeah. But that's the only time we're talking about Ronald Acuña Jr. on the show for now. We'll see. All right, so uniforms. This has been something that's been rumored for a while. We've heard from, there was a leak on Reddit that was talking about it. We've heard from some people here and there over the last couple of years that it's in the works. I was even told about last month that there's new uniforms on the way that are likely going to be unveiled for the 2023 season. I was told that it's going to implement the Trident more, which for a lot of folks that's going to be disappointing. For a lot of folks that's going to be really exciting. It's a very split crowd there when it comes to the Trident. I think it's still going to be heavy on the teal or the Northwest Green. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Northwest Green. I'll get it right. The Northwest Green and Navy. I think they're going to stick with those colors as their primaries.
You're such an uncultured swine, Ty.
I know.
Of course, it's Northwest Green.
I committed the cardinal sin. I committed the cardinal sin here.
I think Yeah, I think we're probably going to get a new logo. And I think we'll get new uniforms. I don't think we're going to get a new color scheme. I think the
Yeah.
color scheme actually fits really well. Navy, silver, Northwest green, and I think it's like actually called like Captain Gold or something like that. But I think
Yeah.
the colors you see in the logo, the All-Star Game logo,
Mhm.
I think those are roughly going to be the colors.
Yeah, I think we might actually see some gold accents like how we see in the All-Star Game logo.
Mhm. Like the gold was small in the logo, but it was
Mhm.
prominent. Like it popped. So I
Yeah.
think we're going to see that.
Yeah, so the thing that I heard was like they're really going to lean heavily on the Northwest green. I don't know what that
Yeah.
means though, right? Cuz usually uniforms, right, they're white and then gray for the
Yeah.
road. So like if they wear a Northwest green uniform, that's just going to be the same as they do on Fridays anyway, right?
Right.
Like I
By
don't
the
really
way,
know how they're going to implement that more, maybe with the hat,
don't you
but
dare do it with the pants. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, don't do it with the
Northwest green
pants.
pants is where I draw the line. I'll just make that very clear. Um, but by the way, they should wear the Northwest green with the road grays a lot more. That pops on TV.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a big fan of the early '90s uniforms. I know that there's that whole like, oh, why would you want to be reminded of an era when you sucked? And it's like, well, young Griffey, like.
Yeah.
Plus, they look amazing. Like they look so good on TV, and that's really what it's about.
You guys have seen me with the hat on. I'm a big fan of the blue and gold with the S.
Yeah,
Like let's keep it simple. I like simple minimalist designs, especially when it comes to baseball.
I wouldn't mind like a modern take on like the old Seattle Pilot uniforms. I think those could look really good. So,
Yeah.
basically, I'm looking for don't like I'm the guy who like liked Arizona's like weird doodad. I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know if I want to watch it every single game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
if you want to make like a cool futuristic like alternate like that, okay, cool. Like fine,
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm less is more sometimes. I still think the best looking uniform is the Seattle Steelhead uniform that they wear on Salute to the Negro League
Yeah.
weekend.
They're so
Those
dope.
are so fresh. They're just
Yeah.
so clean. So yeah, I think simple can be better here. But I do like it when teams kind of try to honor their past a little bit. But yeah, I think if you're looking for like a surprise, I think maybe red gets featured a little bit, but I don't really see it. I think the color scheme is going to be the All-Star logo color scheme. And I think we're going to get a new logo, new primary logo.
Mhm.
And I think we'll see some noticeable differences in the kits, but I don't think we're going to see like, just like all gold or all Northwest green type of uniform. I don't think we're going to see that.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy like that.
I don't want anything super futuristic looking. Like I don't want to. I might
Do I need
offend a
to
lot
pull
of
up the
people with
Ben
this.
Gamble? Do I need to
I,
pull up
I
the Ben Gamble picture of him guns out in the
well, no,
futures?
not turning ahead the clock. I'm talking more like Seahawks. Here, I got my Geno jersey, right?
Uh-oh.
I don't want a font like this. I don't want this kind of font. I don't want it. No. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. I don't like the Seahawks.
The Seahawks have the best uniforms in the NFL. That's a fact.
I don't like them.
That's because you have no taste. You just have no taste.
Like I own a jersey because I love the Seahawks, but that's only because I love the Seahawks. I would not own this jersey if I was not a Seahawk fan. It's just,
you guys, wow. And you guys, for some reason, say you like Ty more than me. It's insane. The guy has no taste.
I don't like the sharpness of the fonts. I don't like.
No taste.
I don't want that. I don't want that. I
Ty
want
likes
something
smooth
clean
and rounded numbers. Ooh.
I want something clean, simple, like the Steelheads uniforms. Give me something like that.
Ty's a big Russell Wilson guy, just so you guys know. Anyways, we got to wrap. So
no,
Ty loves Russell Wilson.
No. Tighten up. Top 10 pick, baby. So yeah, we're turning into 12s here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. We're 12ing it up now. But yeah, I want something clean. I want something simple. We'll see how that goes.
I would like to make one request.
Okay.
No powder blue. Don't force it.
Don't force it. Like if it makes sense,
fine.
Yeah, but don't force it.
But powder blue, like the Phillies and the Cardinals, and don't go all powder blue because then it looks like they're wearing pajamas. No, looks like they're wearing pajamas when they wear those. It's dumb.
I kind of like
Surprise. Of course, the Canadian likes it. Go figure.
I mean, Canadian for like 4 years, right? I'm still a new Canadian. I'm still a fresh. I'm still a fresh Canadian. We're gonna get
all right. We're out of here.
Lastly, though, on this, we're probably going to get City Connect jerseys as well, even if there isn't a complete rebrand for the Mariners uniform wise this year. We're I'm pretty sure they're in line for the City.
I think
Connect
they've already
jersey.
announced that it's going to happen.
Yeah. So, all right. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on Locked On Mariners. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's CANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast featuring the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day. Oh, and by the way, folks, we will not be on tomorrow, but we'll be back on Wednesday. So we'll see you then. Peace.